Oh my goodness, is this some good news? We have Tesla to accept Bitcoin again as payment. Is that actually going to happen? Here's some early signals. And we saw that Bitcoin crashed pretty hard once Tesla stopped accepting Bitcoin as payment for whatever reason. I don't know why anybody would ever sell their Bitcoin for a Tesla in the first place, but for whatever reason, that crashed the market quite a bit. It was really around this energy narrative around Bitcoin. So we're going to talk about what's actually happening with that energy narrative, and is Tesla to begin accepting Bitcoin payments again. We have some really huge news for Ethereum as well as Cardano. So stay tuned for today's episode. Hey, what's up? My name's Adam Winnig, and we make a daily news show almost every single day to update you on everything that you need to know about cryptocurrencies in 10 minutes or less. So go ahead and like, subscribe, turn on the post notifications so you don't miss anything. Okay, so we're going to get into this whole news about Tesla in just a second. Before we do that, I'm going to get into the charts really quickly. It's really a flat day, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this. If you look at the top 10 currencies across the board, I mean, everything's kind of pretty much flat, maybe up 1% or down 1%. We're in kind of like a quite boring stage of this market. It's kind of like watching paint dry. You can see the total market cap, nothing really exciting happening. We can see Bitcoin here. We're just in this accumulation phase right here where, people are just kind of accumulating, trying to see what's going to happen with price. We do see the SGA histogram growing up, which is definitely a good signal. And then Ethereum, same sort of thing. Histogram is growing up on the daily time frame, which is good news. But we basically are just kind of sitting. Nothing exciting happening as far as price goes, but there is some important stuff happening as far as news goes. So will Tesla accept Bitcoin after the Bitcoin Mining Council's quarterly report? So let's talk about what actually happened here. So we saw a massive sell-off when Tesla decided that, hey, Bitcoin is not green enough for us. We're a green company, and we're not going to accept Bitcoin anymore as payment. So what actually happened there is quite interesting. So what happened there was it spurred this Bitcoin Mining Council to be formed to basically inform politicians and people around the world of what's actually happening with the mining process around Bitcoin and how sustainable actually is that. So Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy was kind of the head honcho for putting this Bitcoin Mining Council together. And basically, he says that I'm pleased to see the Bitcoin mining industry has come together voluntarily to provide critical information to the public and policymakers, especially as it pertains to clarifying common misconceptions about the nature and scale of Bitcoin energy usage. So let's talk about this, for example, because it's really quite interesting, right? So if we take a look at this chart here from the Bitcoin Mining Council, we can see, and by the way, Elon Musk, he said, basically, if Bitcoin is I think above 50% green energy, then we'll begin expecting, taking Bitcoin as payment again for Teslas, okay? And if you're unfamiliar, Bitcoin mining is basically people have to use these intense computers. It requires a ton of electricity, and that's how they verify transactions, and miners are rewarded for verifying transactions, but it does cause a lot of energy. But how much really? So if we take a look at this is the Bitcoin mining has the highest sustainable energy mix, okay? So basically, according to Bitcoin Mining Council members, 67% of Bitcoin Mining Council members mine with actually green renewable energy sources, okay? Whether that be solar or wind or hydro or what have you, right? Now, 56% globally of all Bitcoin miners, okay, this means not just people that are in the Bitcoin Mining Council, but all global miners apparently are 56% green. Okay, we saw obviously in China, okay, we saw Chinese miners being shut down like crazy, like mad. Okay, almost all Chinese miners have been shut down, and they've been frantically going to other places where green energy is a lot more accessible. And we can see here that 56%, so this is above the majority. And just to put this into perspective, okay, so this is primary energy sustainable Bitcoin mining versus countries, right? So here we can see countries, okay, Europe is quite green. Almost 50% of energy is green. Same with Germany. United States, 30% of energy consumption usage is green. South Korea, Canada, Brazil, Japan. We can see China, which was the huge issue, right? They were using tons of non-green energy to mine Bitcoin. Only 14%. Iran, which is another hotbed for mining, only 2.2% of energy usage in Iran is actually green energy. So actually, when you look at it in comparison to other countries, we should shut down other countries, right? I mean, Bitcoin is actually more sustainable than other countries, right? So let's take a look at another chart that I found really, really interesting, because people are wondering, like, how much energy usage does Bitcoin actually use? And so we can see here in blue, this is the total energy that's generated worldwide, 162,000, I believe that's terawatts. And we can see that 50,000 terawatts are actually lost to energy inefficiencies. Okay, now only 189 terawatts out of this whole thing, it's this little tiny green sliver. And this is the total energy consumed by Bitcoin mining on the world's electric grid, which is it's like nothing. And to give you guys an idea, a factory, for example, say a factory puts out 10 units of energy, okay? It has to put out 10 energy unit. It can only put out that amount, right? So it puts out 10, for example, units of energy. Well, the interesting thing is that even if the factory only uses 6 of the energy units, there's 4 energy units that are just going completely to waste, which is where Bitcoin miners come in. They use this energy that's being wasted a lot of the time because it's really cheap, and they just use that to mine. So it's not like Bitcoin is even creating an abundance of actual energy problems. It's just that they're using this byproduct of energy that the factory is already producing. So global Bitcoin mining consumes 0.1% of the world's energy production, and global Bitcoin mining consumes 0.4% of the world's energy wasted. Okay, so it's using the energy that's already wasted from these factories. So what does this all mean, Basil? Well, what it means is that Bitcoin is actually a greener operation than we think it is, and it's becoming greener and greener pretty much every single week. So with that being said, it is likely, I think personally, that Tesla will begin accepting Bitcoin again as payment. This whole green energy narrative FUD was the reason why price dripped so much in the first place. So I think that this is just another fundamental thing that is going to cause the price of Bitcoin to increase. Now, here's another thing that's important for Ethereum. We saw that Ethereum's supply and exchange ratio sees a major drop. This is the lowest that Ethereum exchange supply has been since 2018. Well, what does that all mean, Adam? Well, that means that this purple line is showing the supply on exchanges of Ethereum. The green line shows the price, and it's its lowest since 2018. Now, anytime people are moving their Ethereum or their Bitcoin off of exchanges, they're moving it generally to their cold hard wallet storage, okay? So they're moving it off an exchange. And why do they do that? They do that so that they typically they plan on holding this asset for a long time, right? So they own the keys, okay? Now, when people take their Ethereum or Bitcoin from a cold wallet storage and they go and they put it onto exchange, generally this is a sign that they're going to sell. So because the supply on the exchanges is so low, people are holding it for the long term, and likely that this is going to cause prices to increase. Now, last key piece of news here, but before I tell you about this key piece of news, which is massive for Cardano, I do want to let you know that if you'd like to get this news out as soon as it comes out, we actually just built this piece of software. We made it free for all members of Blue Edge Crypto, where it's constantly scanning all the news that's happening from the most reputable news sites in the cryptocurrency space. It's reading the news and it's figuring out which ones are viral and most likely to push price or to have an effect on price, and you get it as soon as that becomes breaking news, which is really, really cool. It's like instant, so that way you become informed, which you can get a lot faster than I could ever make a YouTube video about this sort of stuff, obviously, and I got to sleep and all that sort of stuff. So you'd like to go to blueedgefinancial.com/crypto, become a member, and you'll get access to that for free as well with your membership. Now, what is this saying? Grayscale buys Cardano. ADA is now the fund's third largest holding. This is massive, massive news. As you guys know, Grayscale has been a trust or a fund that has bought a lot of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and this is a way that basically people are able to access a Bitcoin allocation through the stock market because they can go buy the Grayscale trust stocks. So with that being said, this is massive news for Cardano. You can see their portfolio right here, which is mostly Bitcoin, Ethereum, and now Cardano, which is quite significant, which I do expect this to have some pretty awesome price push for Cardano. So if this video is helpful and you'd like to stay up to date, then go ahead, like, subscribe. Oh yeah, we just started posting some awesome stuff on our Instagram at Blue Edge Crypto, so go follow us on Instagram as well, and we'll see you in the next video.